This isn't a doomer video. I'm not here to panic you. I'm here to tell you the truth that nobody in the industry wants to say out loud. Let me tell you what it's like to be a Messi fan. You wake up on match day with a knot in your stomach. Not excitement, a knot. Because something could go wrong. His hamstring. A red card. A penalty miss. A shock exit. A hamstring again. You watch the game standing up, even though there's a perfectly good couch right there. You don't eat during the second half. You refresh Twitter every 45 seconds. He scores. You scream. Your neighbors hate you. You don't care. And then, immediately, a small voice whispers, "He's 38. How many more times does he do that?" Here's the first thing that sucks about being a Messi fan. You didn't really choose it. Nobody sits down at age 8 and rationally decides, I shall devote my emotional well-being to this specific human being in his left foot. It just happens to you. You've got a stake in every game he plays, every tournament, every hamstring, every transfer rumor, every time a journalist says his time is up. And the cruelest part, the moment you became a Messi fan, the clock had already started. He arrived at Barcelona at age 13, signed his first contract on a napkin because someone needed to write it down before this kid disappeared. He grew up there. His children were born there. He scored 672 goals there. He became not just a player, but the physical embodiment of a football club. And then, in 2021, it ended. Not because he wanted to leave, not because of form or age or a falling out, because of a spreadsheet. On August 8, 2021, the greatest footballer who ever lived sat at a press conference table in the stadium he'd called home for 2 decades and cried. He said, "My family and I were convinced we were going to stay here, at home. I'm not ready for this." And if you were a Messi fan watching, something broke that day that never fully healed. And then came Paris. If you're not a Messi fan, the PSG chapter probably looked fine from the outside. Rich club, Neymar, Mbappe, what's the problem? The problem is that he was miserable. He said it himself. I spent 2 years in Paris where I was genuinely unhappy. I didn't enjoy the games or training, and it was hard to adapt. The PSG fans booed him. They booed Lionel Messi at a football stadium, out loud. As a Messi fan, watching those boos rain down on him was one of the most surreal, grinding experiences you could go through. You had no recourse. You couldn't do anything. You just had to watch. You could see the difference. Messi at Barcelona, vibrant, explosive, joyful, and Messi at PSG, muted, ghostly, going through the motions. You were watching a genius in the wrong frame. Twice, PSG went out of the Champions League. And Messi, the man they'd signed to fix exactly that, couldn't fix it. Not because he was finished, because some environments drain even the best people. You were watching a genius in the wrong frame. And there was nothing you could do but wait. Now, here's where it gets really complicated, because being a Messi fan isn't just about club football. For years, the biggest accusation was that Messi was great at club level but couldn't do it for Argentina. I know. That he went missing in big tournaments, that he wasn't Maradona. And if you were a Messi fan through those years, you defended him every single time. You made the arguments, you showed the stats, you got into fights in comment sections you should never have started. He even retired from international football briefly in 2016 after losing the Copa America final on penalties. He came back. He always came back. And then 2018, Russia. They drew with Iceland. He missed a penalty. They got demolished by Croatia, lost to France in the round of 16. His worst World Cup, by any measure. And as a Messi fan, 2018 was a specific kind of torture, because you could feel the narrative solidifying. The moment hadn't come yet, and the waiting was its own kind of pain. And then, Qatar, 2022. If you were a Messi fan during that final, you know what I'm talking about. Argentina versus France, up 2-0. Then France scored twice in 90 seconds. Extra time, 3-3, penalties. The moment the final penalty went in, every Messi fan on the planet stopped breathing simultaneously. And the release of that moment was unlike anything most football fans have ever felt. It wasn't just a tournament win. It was the end of a decade-long conversation, the vindication of every argument you'd ever made, every comment section, every person who said he was just a club player. Then came Inter Miami. The MLS chapter has actually been good, great even. He scored an absurd number of goals, won the MLS Cup. They built an entire new stadium partly because of him. But if you grew up watching him at Camp Nou, watching him tear apart Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, there is a specific bittersweet quality to watching him play against teams with names like Colorado Rapids. This is the retirement lap. You're happy for him, you're glad he's happy, you love the highlights, but something whispers, this is the beautiful, slightly melancholy epilogue. And then Inter Miami got absolutely hammered by PSG in the Club World Cup. 4-0. His old club, the one where he was booed, came to America and dismantled his new team in front of him. Football is sometimes genuinely cruel. And so we arrive at right now. The 2026 World Cup, happening right now. He's 38 years old, his 6th World Cup, unprecedented. 5 goals in 2 games, the all-time World Cup scoring record, 18 goals, a hat-trick in the opener. He is, by any measure, still extraordinary. And as a Messi fan, you are experiencing the most conflicted joy imaginable. Every goal is a gift. Every match is a privilege. You know this. You feel it more sharply than non-Messi fans watching the same game. But here's the thing nobody warns you about. The better he is, the worse the countdown feels. Every goal is simultaneously a celebration and a farewell. The joy and the grief are occupying the same space. The joy and the grief have stopped taking turns. Even his own manager Scaloni said, when asked about Messi's possible retirement, thinking that he is not going to play anymore does not leave you at peace. And you, a fan who has watched every game, every tournament, every heartbreak and triumph, you definitely can't think about it either. So you watch. You just watch. You know what the worst possible outcome of this World Cup is for a Messi fan? It's not Argentina losing. You'd survive that. So what's behind door 2? That's the real nightmare. The worst possible outcome is Argentina winning. Because if they win, it is also the perfect ending to his story. The victory would be the goodbye. And you'd be there, screaming with joy, tears streaming down your face, and you wouldn't be entirely sure which emotion was causing which. And that's the other thing nobody tells you about being a Messi fan. It's the best thing that ever happened to you. Here's the truth underneath all of this. You fell in love with something that is, by definition, temporary. Every athlete ends. Every era closes. There will be other great players. There already are. But there won't be another player who does exactly what Messi does, in exactly the way he does it, for as long as he's done it. The actual experience of watching him play, live, in real time, not knowing what's coming next, that is ending. And every Messi fan knows it. And they watch anyway. Because what else are you going to do? So yes, it sucks to be a Messi fan. It sucks to have your heartbeat tied to someone else's hamstrings. It sucks to have spent a decade defending him in arguments you should never have started. It sucks to watch every game knowing it might be one of the last. It sucks to feel the joy and the grief at the same time, in the same chest, during the same goal. But if you could go back, knowing everything it would cost you, and choose not to fall in love with his football, you wouldn't. You wouldn't change a single second. And that's the other thing nobody tells you about being a Messi fan. It's the best thing that ever happened to you. Enjoy it while it lasts.